Hi everyone, hope you're all doing good. This is another CD update. This is episode 6, and today I've only got 4 CDs that I recently picked up, all courtesy of Amazon, because Amazon had a £10 off thing, so I thought I'll do it. I'll get a couple of CDs. So yeah, basically 3 of these are pretty new-ish, that have come out over the last year or so, and then there's an older, slightly rare one that is quite hard to find for a decent price. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. But before we do, if you're new, please consider subscribing to the channel for more rock and metal music content and guitar based content as well. Please share with anyone who you think might be interested in my content, and all comments and feedback is massively appreciated. I thank everyone who's already subscribed. I really appreciate everyone's support. Now let's just get straight into the video. So the first album that I picked up was an album that came out last year, and I did talk about it a little bit because it made my top 15 albums of 2021, and that is the self-titled debut by Smith and Kotzen, Adrian Smith and Richie Kotzen. Quite a lot of people know about this album, listened to this album already. And yeah, this come out last year. This is my first BMG album as well. And I absolutely love this. I think if I was to make my top 2021 list again, I think this would be higher than 13. I think this would probably make the top 10. This is really, really awesome, bluesy hard rock. And yeah, this is an album that the guitarists really, really shine. Both Richie and Adrian are both fantastic on here. They both do vocals and guitar. Richie really, really shines. I really do enjoy his vocals. There's a little bit of Chris Cornell in there with his vocals, which I really like, because I do like Chris Cornell's vocals. And yeah, it's very much a guitar player's album. Yeah, there's a lot of like jamming sections where they're just soloing away, and it's just fantastic. On pretty much the whole album, it's really, really enjoyable. I love the first song, Taking My Chances. That opening riff is very Iron Maiden, which I think is really cool. Then Running is really good as well. Scars. Solar Fire, I love that song. The single, the music video is pretty good as well. You Don't Know Me, it's a bit more of a ballad, and I absolutely love that song. And also the last track, Till Tomorrow, is a really cool way to close the album out. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this album. And not that long ago, I think the weekend just gone, or maybe 2 weekends ago now, by the time this video gets released, they released an EP, or sort of like a hybrid album with an EP with a couple of tracks that didn't make that album, and a couple of live songs as well. That's going to be really cool. I'm definitely going to pick that up at some point. This next album is from not only my first album with this band, but also my first album from this year, 2022. It took a while to actually get a couple of 2022 albums, mainly because there just wasn't that much out there that I was really that interested in getting. But these next 2 I really wanted to get after listening to them. So yeah, this one is the new one by Municipal Waste, and the main reason why I listened to this and then ended up getting it is because I'm seeing this band in a couple of weeks' time. By the time this comes out, it'll probably, yeah, 1 or 2 weeks' time. I'm seeing these with Anthrax at the Brixton Academy in London, and that's going to be wicked. And after that, I will be making a gig review of that, and posting it on the channel after the gig, obviously. But yeah, getting to this album. This is my first album with this band. I've never really listened to them before this, and I really enjoyed it. This is their 7th album. They've been around since sort of mid-2000s. Anyone who knows their thrash and a crossover thrash will know this band. And yeah, my first time really getting into some crossover thrash as well, and I really enjoyed it. I thought this album was really good, really enjoyable, pretty short and sweet. I really liked the sort of elements of traditional metal in there. It wasn't just full on thrash. There was some little bits of like hardcore punk in there, but also this sort of underline of traditional metal and sort of speed metal in there as well. I thought that was really good. Musically, I thought it was really great as well. The addition of the lead guitarist just added so much more to the songs. I have gone back and listened to a lot of their music now. After this, I've listened to about 4 or 5 of their albums, and yeah, I still think this one's probably one of the best ones out of all of them. Mainly for that lead, you know, that lead guitarist. What was his name? Yeah, oh, it's really hard to tell. Nick Foles, I think his name is. No, Nick Poulos, that's it, Nick Poulos. Yeah, I think he just adds an extra dimension to this band, and yeah, it really benefits from that. I really enjoyed the singles from this album: High Speed Steel, the title track, and Grave Dive. I think that song is fantastic. It really reminds me of like Exodus, sort of early Exodus. There's a lot of early Exodus in their sound anyway, but yeah, sort of Exodus, Anthrax. You can kind of see why Anthrax are playing with them. Yeah, also I really like Last Crawl, The Bite, Crank the Heat, Restless and Wicked, really good song. Putting on Errors as well, pretty good song. Yeah, really enjoyed this. So yeah, if you're into your crossover thrash, definitely pick this up. Really great. So the next album I picked up is also from 2022, and again completely different to what I just showed. This is the new Joe Satriani album called The Elephants of Mars. This come out back in April, and yeah, I held off from getting it because I just, at that point, I just couldn't really afford to get this one. But yeah, I'm really glad I got it now. This is his staggering 18th album. It's just absolutely insane. He's been so consistent over the last 35, 40 years. Yeah, this come out on Ear Music Records, which I think I've never got anything from Ear Music before. And yeah, this album is absolutely brilliant. I think it's his best album in maybe over the last maybe 10 years, 12 years. I think it's brilliant, this. Interesting thing with this album is that he gets his live band to perform on this. So instead of getting, because he usually gets session musicians, but because they recorded all this at home, he got his live band to play on it, and I think that kind of adds just an extra sort of, you know, it kind of adds a live feel to a lot of the songs, even though it's been really well produced, but it still kind of has that live vibe. This album is definitely an album for just straight up music fans, really, because there's so many different elements on here. There's like elements of jazz, there's even a little bit of like keyboardy, electronic-y stuff, some classical music, some progressive music. it's all over the show with its influences and stuff on here. And the main thing that I like about this album is that Joe really put a lot of effort into the songwriting and into the guitar solos as well. Because on previous albums, you know, he might not have tried to put too many flashy solos in, but on this album there's a lot of long, really well thought out solos and a lot of really good songwriting as well. So yeah, I think this is probably the most experimental album he's done in quite a long time. Very, very different compared to a lot of his music, really. And like I said, there's a lot of jazz influence on a lot of these songs. So, and it's a pretty long album, there's 14 tracks. The first track, Sahara, was the first track released, and that is a really cool song. Title track, Elephants of Mars, is really, really awesome. I just love the vibe, but you have to watch it, you have to listen to it with the music video, because if you don't really get the same effect. It just, with the music video it works because it's just so crazy and wacky, that music video. My favourite song on here is Tension and Release, because that's like almost like a jazzy fusion song. I absolutely love that song. Bluefoot Groovy is really good as well. Sailing the Seas of Ganymede, I really enjoy that song. It's kind of like a little bit of a spy thriller, that song. It's really cool. Yeah, E 104th Street, New York City, 1973. That song I wasn't a massive fan of at the start, but now it's kind of grown on me a bit, and that song is very like, it's almost like gangster 30s New York style song. It's really, really interesting. Pumping's really good. Dance of Spores as well, really enjoy. Yeah, overall, it's a fantastic album. Definitely, if you're into, you know, if you're just a music fan, I think you'll really enjoy this album. And the last CD that I picked up is also by Joe Satriani. This is Time Machine, that come out back in 1993. But this is a Sony Music on CD reissue from 2020, I think. Yep. And this is his 5th album in his discography, but really it's more of like a compilation of unreleased songs from like the late 80s to the early 90s. A lot of these songs on here sound very 80s. It's almost like, you know, very ironic that he called it Time Machine, when this album, it's almost like going back in time to like his early period, really. Yeah, a lot of these songs, it's sort of like, I don't know, some of the tracks sound like they could have been on The Extremist. Some of it sounds like it could have been from Flying in a Blue Dream, and then other songs sound like they could have been from his first album, Not of This Earth, which is a very, very 80s sounding album. But yeah, there's some pretty good songs on here, like the title track, Time Machine, The Mighty Turtle Head, Crazy, Speed of Light, pretty cool. I really like Baroque. That song is just very different to everything else on the album, but it's pretty cool. Dweller of the Threshold, that song is very interesting. There's a bit in that song and it kind of sounds almost like speed metal, thrash metal. It's awesome, I love that bit. And then there's some average songs like the All Alone, that's like a Billie Holiday song. I didn't really think much of that one. Thinking of You was a bit not brilliant. And then some of his EP songs, because some of these towards the bottom here are songs from his debut EP, and that's very avant-garde, it's very strange, some of them songs. Dreaming 11 though is pretty cool, because at the end of that song he does this crazy effect with the guitar and he makes it sound like a train, which is just absolutely bizarre. But you've got to hear it just for that. It's just mad. And then the last song, Woodstock Jam, is 16 minutes long of the same riff, which is it's alright, but it gets a bit boring after about 6 or 7 minutes. So yeah, it's not really an essential album, but I'm still happy to have this because it's a pretty rare album to find for a decent price. As I said, I've been trying to get it for ages, but the price was so high, and then you'll find that it's unavailable, and then you have to look for it again, and then you find it and it's like nearly 20 quid, and then it becomes unavailable like that. You know, it's one of them albums where you have to be quick, and luckily I managed to get it for about 12 quid, so I was happy with that. And then also, this is a double disc, so on the second side, on the second disc, it's a live album taken from a couple of different shows. So he plays all of his old hits like Satch Boogie, Summer Song, Flying in the Blue Dream, Always With Me, Always With You, Big Bad Moon, Surfing with the Alien, Circles, etc, etc, all them awesome songs. And yeah, as I said, it's not essential, but it's a cool collector's item to have, so I'm glad to have it. So that was my CD update. I'd love to know what you thought of the CDs that I picked up, and I've got lots more content on the way. My contest is still going, and still going until pretty much the end of October, so still plenty of time to make a video for that. Thanks ever so much for watching if you got this far. Until the next time, keep it metal.